It's me, sorry.
No, that's, oh, I thought it was really, it was like in time with me clicking live. Hello, welcome everybody. We are live. I'm sorry for the slight delay here. That was my bad. I did a bad. Anyway, welcome to our second panel of CoNZealand Fringe. If this is the first panel that you're seeing of the Fringe, we are a complimentary event to CoNZealand, the 78th WorldCon. So we are not part of CoNZealand. We are just kind of giving you a little taster. And if you'd like to learn more about CoNZealand, there will be links in the description box below after the live stream. I'm going to update everything. And there'll be links to CoNZealand website, our website. You can check all of the things. But now we are going to talk about BookTube, and we're going to kind of introduce BookTube to the WorldCon Fandom, introduce the two communities, which many people already know both, but I'm very excited to be bringing it more visibility. Noria went out a little bit, her internet is not doing great at the minute, so whenever she's able to be back in, she'll be back in. We are also waiting for another panelist whose internet is not cooperating. We'll work through this somehow. So for those of you who don't know, I'm Claire. My BookTube channel is here, Claire Rousseau. I am Hugo finalist for Best Fancast somehow this year, which is very exciting. And I will be moderating this panel. And I will be letting my panelists introduce themselves. If you could tell me your name, your channel, and a video of yours, a recent video of yours that you like, that you want people to go and watch, that gives a bit of an idea of your channel, that'd be great.
So hello everybody.
Mari?
Yeah, my name is Marines. I go by Mari for short, and my channel name is Marines. In addition to everything here on BookTube, I also have a website called snarksquad.com, and we have a podcast called Snark Squad Pod, and a complimentary podcast called Cooler Than Homework, in which we're watching all of the Disney Channel original movies as adults and having a blast. So do a ton of stuff online, and for a taste of kind of my style and my channel, I recently did a video about reading critically versus reading for enjoyment, and how that's a false dichotomy because you can do both. So that's a fun one.
Okay, hi. My name is Emily. I am also a booktuber, and so my channel name is Emiloid, and I read a lot of fantasy, but also occasionally I rant about films as well. And a recent video, well, my most recent video was my Reading Rush TBR, but for more content that's more about me, I have a tarot TBR video, which is where a tarot deck picks my books. Also, I have a video about underrated fantasy as well. So yeah, that's me.
Cool, really, really cool. So BookTube, as it says in the description of the panel, and for people who might not know, is the corner of YouTube where we talk about books. I want to start by talking a little bit about the community, about, you know, what we do here, what type of videos you can expect, why we enjoy making them, all that kind of good stuff. So maybe we can start by talking about some of the staples, the videos that we see a lot of people doing. Emily, what kind of videos do you do? Do you do like a lot of wrap-ups, a lot of, you know, do you talk about stuff you've read, stuff you're gonna read?
I generally talk, I have a lot of wrap-ups on my channel. I definitely participate in several readathons. For instance, Tome Topple is one that I do a lot, and Asian Readathon is one I do every year. And occasionally I do some individual book reviews, and also there are book tags are definitely very popular on the platform. And if you stick around on my channel, I'll be posting a reading vlog, and that's also very popular content as well.
Cool.
Would you say so, Martinez?
Yeah, so it sounds similar to what I enjoy doing. So lots of reviews. I enjoy reviewing books, whether that's individual reviews or wrap-ups. Vlogs as well is something I'm not good at. The good thing about like BookTube is that you can just kind of like, I'm not great at this, but I enjoy it, which is kind of how I've been doing vlogs. Is just kind of testing the waters there.
Yeah.
And I really love doing discussion videos. I mentioned like the one in my example, just taking like big topics in books or within genres and talking a little bit about them and giving different examples in terms of like tropes or things that the community is engaging in. So those are things that I like. There's a ton of other stuff. I think that, you have kind of the review focused end of BookTube and then more like a fandom focused end of BookTube with lots of crossover and lots of content that is inspired by both, whether that's like I said, reviewing things or, gushing about things and being fans of things and the kind of content that those two things inspire.
Oh no, I was just about to no. Well, and yeah, I'll be very much looking forward to what she has to say about that because I love her content. But I want to define some terms here, just in case some people aren't already familiar. We've talked about TBRs, we've talked about readathons. Basically, like the point of BookTube, we chronicle our reading. That's a lot of what we do. And so a TBR is to be read less, and a readathon is when like the whole community comes together and does a reading marathon for a week or a month or whatever. And there's sometimes 24 hours, 48 hours, something like that. So we have a lot of fun community events as well as single videos that people do. And I think that's an aspect that people don't necessarily know if they're not in BookTube yet, that is very community based. Do we want to talk a little bit about that and about how, we build that community through commenting and all of that?
Yeah, I think that part of the way that I found BookTube was like literally finishing a book and getting to YouTube and being like, has anybody talked about this book? And doing like a search of like review. I don't even remember honestly what the book was at this point. And finding at that point that, even though the community has grown, certainly over the 5 years that I've been here, there were people online talking about books. And, that kind of is where my starting point was. And from there, it very much became something that not only did I want to create these videos to talk about the books that I was reading, but I wanted that conversation because not all of my in real life friends or people that I see in, day to day read books. So I had to come to this side of like, people who are already interested in this to have that conversation with them, to comment, to, engage in the comments, to read books together, whether that is in a readathon or something, buddy reading, just reading with one or two other people. So I've had the opportunity to form like really close friendships because of this community, and it is definitely that for me is a community of people.
I think I feel very similarly. I found BookTube when I was just out of undergrad and had just kind of started reading for leisure again because I was an English lit major, and I wanted to. And I was just looking for more literary-minded people, and I think the first one I found was Sana from Books and Quills. And
yeah, me too.
And she was very influential for me. And from her, I just found a bunch of other people, and it was great to help motivate me to keep up reading as well. And I think the readathons, I think they add a bit of competitiveness, but like a healthy amount. So it just motivates you to just keep going, and and also with enjoyment as well. It just adds to that experience.
Yeah, and I think Noria, if you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your channel and what you do, and maybe tell us a video of yours, a recent video that people can go watch to get a bit more of an idea of your channel. Can you hear me? I think she might have some lag.
Yeah.
All right. Oh.
I mean, Adri did point out in the comments that it wouldn't be an online panel without some tech issues, certainly. But we have a bunch of questions, actually. Raya over at the Book Fringe points out the SFF section of BookTube is pretty niche compared to YA Contemporary or LitFec. But of course, significant overlap. I mean, I read principally SFF, but I do also read like a fairly varied amount of other stuff as well. And I know you do too, Marinés.
Yeah. So always in my reading, the majority of it ends up being SFF. And I don't think people really, like, I don't know if you ask them that about me, that they would necessarily know or like connect that to my reading. But it is the majority of what I read. But I also read very widely. So lots of other stuff, romance, contemporary, literary fiction, nonfiction, the whole gamut.
Yeah, I think definitely there's a big swath of YA booktubers, and I think if there is SFF, it tends to be in the YA side of things, and definitely I found there aren't quite as many people who are in either in sort of the more adult side of SFF, and yeah, no, I find that people also sort of look at me and they don't quite expect me to really to read that area of fiction. And but yeah, no, I like that is a growing sector, I think, on BookTube, though, like with people like Daniel Green, with people like that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, let's see if we can, we've got a suggestion that Noria could try audio only, and I'm gonna message her that for sure. Let's see. This is a very interesting question from Worlds in Ink. How big of a role does personality play in BookTube success and growth? And I think I can see on your faces that there are opinions.
I mean, it's a lot, because basically what we're selling here on our channel is our personality. In essence, like, you know, you're coming to me initially because you have some point of connection, whether that is because I read SFF or a specific book or whatnot. But if you watch the video and you're like, I can't stand that girl, like, you're not going to stick around. So that is definitely, and like we talked, it is very much a community thing. And I think that people approach a lot of these videos of finding that common ground and having common interest and wanting to connect. So, you know, and I would also say that, you know, when you look at BookTube, it's so spread out, and there are it's a small community within larger YouTube, and within the small community there are other niches of like small you know, people who are reading in the same genre or whatnot. But the like biggest booktubers definitely have a lot in common in terms of reading a lot of YA, being a sort of personality, and so that is kind of like the type or the model of success sometimes in BookTube. But throughout the years that I've been here, there's definitely been a lot of growth. And I feel like a lot of these niche communities are coming up. And you can basically find something for anyone at this point in BookTube. So if you don't like one person or their personality, like, there's somebody else out there who might be for you.
Yeah, I think there are groups of booktubers who sort of stick together for a reason, and because it is about, we are people at the end of the day, and it's like being people in real life. We kind of break off and interact with some people more than others for a reason, and like we said, people aren't just coming to us just to find any old book recommendation, because why would they care about, say, what my top 10 books of 2019 were, if they didn't somehow care about or care that it was my opinion, because they're coming because they care about you and your opinion. So of course that does matter a lot. And I think that's fairly universal on YouTube in general. People are drawn to personalities.
Yeah. Let's see if this is working. Noria, please tell us about your channel, because it's amazing. Nope.
Oh, do we? Oh.
So cursed. It's so cursed. I'm so sorry. Oh no. Now, the thing that Marinus didn't mention quite, that I think we can't really avoid talking about, is a lot of the bigger booktubers who have a fairly kind of similar. There are exceptions, but a lot of the bigger booktubers are white ladies, and that's just that's just a thing that's just a thing that affects booktubers of color. And it's been a really big conversation on Booktube recently, so I thought I should mention it as a part of like our Booktube conversation. And when I say recently, it's been a conversation for a very long time. We're just listening more recently, which is bad.
Yeah, and that's certainly something that like Emily said is sort of indicative of like a larger YouTube thing, that YouTube has, or media thing, like media in general has always skewed white and underrepresented peoples. So that is definitely true of BookTube, and especially now we're seeing more and more people of color joining, Black people joining BookTube, and they're getting more recognition, which is great. But unfortunately, sort of that top tier is still kind of representative or indicative of kind of the patterns or that you see in media as a whole. So it's a conversation that we definitely have been having for a long time about how we support and promote diverse creators on this platform. And I think that, as much as you can, I wish that it weren't the way that people are only like starting to listen, but at the same time, I'm like, yes, listen, let's talk about this. Let's see how we can improve our community and grow from here.
Yeah, I mean, I should have spoken more clearly. I mean, it's good that we're listening now. It's bad that we weren't listening before.
Of course, yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah. No, I think a lot of times we're seeing an effect of our media trickling down into who we decide to listen to and to watch, right? Because before, when we had this sort of very white-dominated media, and we didn't kind of normalize people of color, these faces in media, and so so when people are going out to find what content is very indicative or very or typical of that particular niche, they gravitate towards. A lot of times, they gravitate towards white creators, and because sometimes we might see this a little bit in, say, Bookstagram and stuff, where they say, oh, this particular book, I didn't relate to it very much because this was, say, a piece of, I don't know, Black literature, Native American literature. I couldn't relate to it. And so that's written off. That experience is written off automatically. And it's like, well, we are all human beings here. Why wouldn't we be able to be, why wouldn't we be able to relate in some way? So I think that kind of normalization of different faces, and to recognize that we are also part of this same experience, I think that that's an important thing, and something that probably is a very long-term issue and can't be kind of dealt with overnight. But I think that's a big part, big root of the issue.
Oh,
I think we have a Jocelyn.
Oh.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Did it work?
It worked, but poor Noria
Sorry,
is a little
everyone.
bit cursed. Hey, Jocelyn, do you want to introduce yourself and tell people a bit about your channel and what video of yours they should watch?
Yeah, totally. So hi, I am Jocelyn. My pronouns are she, her. My channel is Yogi with a Book. And my channel has a lot of different things, mostly SFF. That's where my heart is. But also all Latinx books all the time, even contemporary. And this year I feel like I've been reading a lot more diversely in other genres as well. Like I've gotten into nonfiction a little bit, romance, so dabbling in other things. Fantasy is still the biggest thing that I read, but anything with like mythology or folklore is also where I love to sit in. And a recent video of mine that gives you a good idea of my sort of reading taste was one of the BookTube SFF Babbles, because I'm a judge this year along with Claire. And it was for, I think it was the only one I did. I'm such a bad, so bad at that. But it was underrated SFF.
And this is lovely. Rhea says, Jocelyn single-handedly got me to buy Tasha Suri's books.
Yes, love to hear it.
That is your mission. That is your one-woman mission.
Absolutely. Yeah, my Animal Crossing island is called Amba. Like, that's how deep I am in this thing.
So we were talking a little bit, we did a little bit of definition and kind of 101 stuff about BookTube, and we were just talking about what it takes to succeed on BookTube. Succeed, what kind of people get the most, you know, views or whatever. Perhaps this is not what I would consider succeeding, but you know, let's see. We just got into talking about how YouTube, as pointed out, does not recommend BIPOC YouTubers to people, even if you follow loads of them, because YouTube's trash.
Yeah, there are definitely layers here to like what ultimately informs the, you know, representation on BookTube. And like we said, it's very much connected to other things about YouTube and media in general, but that about YouTube and the way that it recommends and the way it's like a cycle that perpetuates itself, right? There are certain people that get numbers of views and likes and opportunities, and publishers reach out to them and recognition, and then that breeds more of that. And so the people who never get their foot in the door don't really have the way to, you know, start that on that path, unless other people shout them out, or there are other opportunities where you're kind of bringing up BIPOC along the way. So YouTube definitely is not great about discovery. You know, in general, it's not great, which is why people are like, wait, there's an SFF niche of BookTube, or there's this niche of BookTube, because discoverability is not the best on YouTube. And it's why people like Jocelyn have to be so loud about things they love, because if not, yeah, you really have to
just get swept under.
the books that you love, the channels that you love, and really kind of boost people up yourself, or else YouTube's not going to do it for you.
Yeah, because I mean, the point of YouTube is not for you to find cool stuff, it's for YouTube to make money. So okay, let's try this again. Hi. Nope, that's not what I meant to do. Sorry, this is better. Noria, please tell us about your channel. Can we actually make this work? Let's see.
I don't think it's working.
I heard. Yeah, we can hear you.
I definitely think this is a major challenge. I definitely think this is a major challenge when you're creating.
It's like we keep getting like little pieces. By the end, she'll get
all right.
Oh no. Oh dear.
I'm sad. Okay. Right. What was I on about? Let's see. Yes. So in the panel description, we mentioned kind of like the challenges of doing YouTube videos, and I know for me the main challenge is always consistency, because that's what YouTube loves. But I'd love to hear what you think about like what are challenges for you.
For me, I would say definitely the consistency is a challenge for me, because if YouTube favors you when you are posting the same time in a week. It doesn't matter if you're like, okay, well, I always post once a week, but it's like you have to post the same time in a week or the same time in a month. And suddenly, and I find that maybe some weeks I'm just very tired, and I just have an off week, and suddenly the algorithm gets very confused and then it decides to not boost me anymore. Or another thing I've noticed is if I do a video that's slightly off topic, because sometimes I make video essays or videos about films, and I find that sometimes I have a spike in views, but then they kind of crash. And that's something that I experience because I'm like, oh, well, I decided to post something slightly different, some varied content, and suddenly it doesn't like me anymore. So that in particular.
Fingers crossed.
Nope.
Oh.
Hi. Noria, can you hear us now? Let's see how much lag there actually is. I hope you're all enjoying our waiting, hopefully, faces.
Can everybody? I can hear you, but the internet is like lagging, like really badly, which is annoying because it was working perfectly fine as of.
Yeah, of course.
Always how it is.
Can you tell us about your channel, though?
Truly. I feel like if one of us starts speaking, that will be the moment that she like jumps in.
Of
so.
course. That's always the way with tech. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh dear. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's if we can't make it work, we're going to keep trying, but if we can't make it work, let's actually recommend some of Noria's videos to go and watch. Noria, please, if you want to put some stuff in chat as well that we can read out, we can definitely do that too. Let's see. Let me actually pull up Noria's channel. We'll get you some recommendation, folks. Don't you worry. I
did put in the chat some recommendations, just basically her entire series of recommendation videos that she did for the Fuckathon, because she created that readathon and then she has all of these amazing prompts and did like full videos with like 20 books each, or maybe more, right? Just recommending things that have to do with that topic.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's my bad. I was so the YouTube does not like the name of Noria's readathon as much as I do, and therefore I
did it hide it?
I need to accept it, and I was focusing on trying to make it work. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so good. It's so much fun.
I know she also had a recent video about all the popular books that she didn't like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a question in chat. How established does an author have to be before you consider making a video on their work? Which I think is interesting as a question because it's not really how it works for me.
I have a policy for me personally that I only will review books that are I don't review books that are indie published, only because it's not that I don't read them. It's because indie published books, like if I give them a negative review, that impacts them so much more than if I give a negative review to something that is traditionally published. And so I want to be very careful that my opinion, my personal taste is not going to negatively impact somebody in a way, in that kind of way, but also I need to be true to myself and I need to give honest reviews. So I haven't really figured out how to navigate that space of like, if you're sending me this book that you have indie published or self-published or something like that, I'm going to give a positive review or an honest review. But if that's not a positive review, like that could really hurt you. So because I don't have a good answer to that, I've just, for the time being, I'm not reviewing things that are self or indie published. Otherwise, if it's a debut author or anything like that, I'm all about it. If it's something that I read separately and I have a positive experience with, I'll talk about it, but I won't accept for review anything that I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to enjoy, and for their benefit more than my own, because I don't want to hurt people in that way.
I also don't accept for review. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. Go ahead.
Who's going?
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Well, for me,
I also.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot.
Oh, I think we're out of time.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna go with Jocelyn.
Okay. Yeah, I do not accept for review. For similar reasons, I don't want to add negative reviews, especially to indie and smaller published people when they already get such small like marketing in general. But also I DNF with abandon. Like I DNF so many books and I just don't talk about them. So I don't feel comfortable guaranteeing someone that I'm definitely going to finish their book, definitely going to write a review. It's just not my particular style. But same, if I like really love something, I will scream to the heavens about it. Up until a few months ago, I was also a bookseller, so I would like push it on people who came into the bookstore, recommend to friends. But I just don't fully like do review because an author sends me a book. That's just not something I'm comfortable with.
I'm not super at the point where people are necessarily soliciting me yet. I'm still quite microscopic. But I think for me, it's not so much about how well the author is established. I think I'm not so much about authors as I am about the book itself and the product itself. And a lot of times when I pick up something to read, it's because I heard about it by word of mouth. I watched a video where it was recommended. I saw it around, or I really liked the concept of it. And if I like it, then, and I like it strongly enough that I want to make a video about it, then I just go ahead and do it. It is my channel and it's about what I like.
Yeah, and I think there's also an interesting, like, you know, almost a misconception that some people have that like you send a book and therefore you get a review. Like that's just not how it works for most reviewers at most outlets. And the idea that you're going to do that with BookTube because, you know, I don't know, we're just a person in our house reading books. That's just not, you know, you're asking us to do a marketing job for you. And
free?
We don't have to.
Yeah,
for free.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So that's something that is, you know, for me personally, it's very much like I just read what I read, and I'm really bad at even like sticking to what I want to read, let alone things that other people ask me.
Oh,
hello. Let's give it another go. And see how we go. In the meantime, Rhea says my favorite video of Noria is how to survive waiting for an anticipated sequel. So there you go. Some nice things for Noria to hear, at least, even if she can't actually speak to us. But please can.
could she also join in the public chat as well?
Yeah, Noria, could you try and type in chat and we can bring up your comments if you want to like talk about your channel a little bit, at the very least.
Oh no! I did not hear anything you just said, Claire. Like the. Oh my god! It is lagging so bad. I just heard channel plug. That was all. I'm not even sure if anybody can hear me because clearly my comments take forever. to get
I can hear you
to
really.
get delivered.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Well, we can hear her, but if there's a delay, I've just told her.
Oh,
Damn internet! Yeah, poor Noria says that tomorrow she has to talk to her internet provider, which none of us like doing that. So yeah, let's we'll figure out something. If this doesn't work out, we'll figure out a time where her internet works and actually, you know, have her back on or something. We'll figure something out. Let's see. Did we have comments? Interesting. Twitter and other apps are also important for BookTube. How do you handle those spaces? Do you guys do Bookstagram or?
I'm more book Twitter.
I do both. I do Bookstagram. Again, something I'm not great at, but I'm like, I don't care. I'm having fun. Yeah, I'm gonna put this book here in this bush and take a picture. So this is not me plugging my Bookstagram. I just really enjoy it. And Twitter is also like where, you know, so we talked a little bit about challenges of like YouTube before, and it's really time intensive, this hobby, or it can be, because it's not just like, I'm going to sit down and talk to my camera. It's like, well, first of all, you have to be reading. So there's all these hours that go into reading. And then with like the leftover, you're like recording a video and editing takes a long time. So it always feels like there's a delay between like me, my thoughts, and like wanting to talk to people. So Twitter stands in the in-between of where I can be like, hey guys, I just finished this book and get my thoughts out more immediately than something like a YouTube video. I still make the video, but I use Twitter a lot. So I'm pretty much everywhere talking about books.
Yeah, Twitter has definitely been a very important space for me to put my channel out there. I think I used to go on those new YouTuber Twitters and post my channel in there continuously, and then I discovered BookTuber subscribe chains, which are a big thing on the platform as well. And if not for those platforms, I don't think my channel would be anywhere near where it was today. It's very, very vital.
Yeah, I don't really plug my channel on Twitter, especially also because I haven't like made a video in a few months. I went on an unexpected hiatus, but yeah, I'm really bad at marketing myself in that way. But Twitter is where I feel like Twitter for me is sort of like the place where I get all of the book recommendations. It's where I learn about more bookstagrammers, more booktubers, bloggers are especially like really in Twitter and just having all of these conversations back and forth. So I think it's a great place for all of the different book online communities to connect. Bookstagram, I post like 2 pictures a month probably on average, and I basically use like 3 tags. I'm bad about all of it. For me, this has mostly been a hobby, and I try and not give myself any pressure. So yeah, I don't really like go out of my way to be like, watch my video, even though I love when people watch my videos. I love when they comment on my videos, but I don't want it to feel like work, and that's always been like my main goal. It's just like, if I get to a point where I'm just like, oh, this feels like I'm working so hard, I don't want that. And that was a decision I made for myself. Like everyone, there are some people who I know go into this with the idea of like, I want to do this. I want my channel to grow this quick. I want to have like these many things. I want to start working with publishers, and that's awesome. I'm not that kind of booktuber myself.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I don't think people realize when they're watching videos like how much work it takes. Like, I don't know about everybody else, but I'm a many takes kind of person. Like, you know, especially if I want to do something that's focused and informative, like anticipated books where you're talking about like 15 books and you have to like say the synopsis in a way that makes it sound good. Like, you can be recording for an hour and a half for like a 15-minute video.
Yeah.
And then there's the editing and captioning, because I caption all of my videos, which also takes extra time. Thumbnails, forget about it. I hate them.
Yeah, for me, like there's always a process of video editing because I read a lot of ebooks, so I don't always have the physical book available. So there's a whole thing where I have to Google the image of the book and then put it in and make sure it's synced up with the right time that I'm talking about it. So that's the whole thing for me.
And
It's
that they're
like
the same size. You have to like size
Yeah,
them.
yeah, and make sure it doesn't like block your face or something.
And
always
Tor
like-
books always are skinny, and you have to resize them a little bit because they're not the same aspect ratios as the other one. I see
Yeah,
you, Tor.
you know, I mean, obviously, we're like, this is obviously something that we all enjoy because we're all doing it. But I feel like the real thing is that like we're working with like these limited hours, right? And within like these hobby hours, you have to like that's where your reading goes, but that's also where like you're making videos and you're editing and you're captioning and you're responding to comments go. And I always feel like if I'm doing more of one, I'm doing less of the other. So I'm like, look at all these videos I made. I haven't read anything, and like so it's like a constant balance of like where am I putting my time? And yes, I enjoy all of this, but also like maintaining that like where like yes, this is a hobby, I'm having fun, and not stepping into I'm making this work is like the tricky thing to balance. But ultimately, it's it pays off, and that's where you're talking about it. But it is definitely a balancing act.
I think there's also different ways to do it, right? Because I value having captioned videos. I think that's quite important. But also, I hate doing captions. I'm really bad at it, and I don't want to spend my time doing that. So I pay somebody else to do it. But, that's like, number one, an extremely privileged position to be able to be in. But also, like, it's just at some point I had to sit myself down and be like, come on, you think this is important? Like, actually do the thing. And there's just many, so many different little aspects. You can't keep all the plates spinning.
Yeah, a big thing for me that I had to get better at was responding to comments with engagement because it's always good for you in the algorithm. You add more comments to your videos and you also get people excited, but sometimes it can be quite draining. At times because I had a video about the new Little Women adaptation, and that actually made it quite big. And I have like 500 comments on that video right now, and that and at some point I couldn't deal with it anymore. Some people can keep up that level of engagement with their subscribers, or not, or just viewers, just people who are passing through and commenting. And at some point I was like, I can't respond to every single comment. It's just too much.
Yeah, that's really hard. That's really tricky. Also, you have to be always commenting on other people's videos because that's how people find each other's channels. And that's something that I'm terrible at.
Yeah.
Marines wrote an email back to me and said, this is my channel. And I was like, yes, I know. I watch all your... Oh, I never comment on anything. I'm a trash booktuber.
Yeah, no, I'm also bad about that. Yeah.
We have some really interesting questions in chat. AG says, picking up on what Jocelyn said, to what extent do you think of your channel as offering publicity versus critique, as in criticism, literary criticism as opposed to just negative things?
For me, I think those are like usually two different videos. Like I would think a haul video is like straight up publicity. Right. Like that's just like, I'm showing you this book, buy this book, or I'm excited about it. But usually like I critique things in wrap-ups or full-on reviews. So I for me, those are kind of separate just because like I don't tend to mix them very much. Like I said, like I don't take a book for review. So I'm not going to do anything that's just straight up publicity unless it is something like a haul where I'm just like, book, it's here. The end.
Yeah, I would like to think that I do a pretty even amount of each because that publicity is, it's easy to do, first of all, with a haul or even a TBR. And yeah, it's good to boost people that you like. At the same time, I think it's good to, for me, I like to at least put some of my opinions out there, and people are also coming to you for your opinions. So I'd like to think it is, like we said earlier, a balancing act of the two things.
Yeah.
I came here to do the critique thing. Like, that's why I'm on BookTube, and that's why I started BookTube. And I think the publicity thing is just something that happens. Like, it's something that you can't escape, that if I'm putting this book up and talking about it, there's going to be somebody like, I want that book too. And I just became a vehicle for publicity, even though that wasn't like what I intended to do. Like, so I don't know. I guess that at a certain point, you have to kind of consider your own place in the publishing machine in terms of how much publicity you're giving books and how you're doing that, as just, like I said, an extension of being online and showing books online. But my intention is always to come here with critique, I guess, is the content that I primarily make.
And can we try this again? Let's see. Can you hear us with less lag now? I'm going to also ask her in private chat. There you go.
She's muted.
Oh, and she is muted. Well, let's see once she unmutes herself. But what else do we got? Really interesting from Rhea. What are your biggest creative inspirations in terms of making videos?
For me, it's I know this. I don't know if this is like a stupid answer, but it's books. Like I even when I'm in a place where I'm like not making videos or whatnot, or it's like a downtime for me, I'll read a book and I'm like, I have to talk about this. Or a book will do something, a trope that I see or something that I'm like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of this other book, and now I want to talk about them both together. So even when I'm like taking a break, or I think I'm out of the game, it's like books that pull me back in, because I just I have all these feelings that I want to share about them. But the other thing is kind of what you touched on, Claire, and it's like how important it is to like comment on other people's videos and things like that. But when I'm most engaged in the community, when I'm watching other people's videos, when I'm commenting on other people's videos, that's like a constant well for me in terms of creativity, because I'll see somebody does a video and I'm like, ooh, I want to try that too. Or, they brought up a point that I want to talk more about. So those are kind of the two things that keep me here. But I also watch YouTube videos outside of BookTube, and there are times where like things that are happening outside in like other communities, like tier ranking is something that I saw outside of BookTube first, and I was like, what if we did this with books? And that bringing that over is kind of our tags that people bring in from like the makeup community or other communities. So those things are things that feed my content.
Yeah, no, I totally agree about booktubers or YouTubers outside of BookTube. I've been particularly observant of the video essay community recently, which is also booming recently, and definitely some of the and also the film critique community as well. And I find a lot of the points that they bring up or things that they talk about are also a big inspiration for me as well, for even talking about books or other things.
I actually don't really watch anyone outside of BookTube, except for like a couple like yoga and like Pilates things. Me finding BookTube was a complete fluke, because I spend no time on YouTube unless it's watching book people. So yeah, for me it's also the community, and like if I really want to talk about something, that's when I'm like, okay, gotta get the camera, like let's do this, let's recommend that book, let's talk about that like trope, whatever it is, make a TBR for this readathon I just heard about. It's definitely like all of the other different ways that people are being engaged with each other that I'm just like, oh, I want to do this too, guys.
And I guess we have a little bit more time. What I would love to recommend like 1 million channels to people. I'm sure we're going to get other questions in the chat. If you have them, please put them in. But yeah, if we can recommend loads and loads of channel, that's what I want. I want to leave people with like a pile of things to go. Sorry, look at I want to leave people with a giant pile of recommendations for YouTube videos to watch about books.
I'm like, hold on, wait.
What I do.
Wait.
Warn them to bring a list, by the way.
So 2 people that I followed on Goodreads first, because they were bloggers who recently, I think in the last year or so, came to BookTube are Fadwa from Word Wonders and Kate, Your Tia Kate, who are both excellent booktubers and bloggers and just everything all around. They both have really, really amazing recommendations as well. Love both of them.
Yeah. Someone I want to boost is TB Kane, who he reads a lot of classics, which is cool. And also I think male booktubers don't get enough love as well. So would like to boost his content. Also, there's someone I just discovered called Tammy Tries to Read.
Yeah. Oh, me. So she is a bigger channel, more well-known, but she's like my partner in crime around these parts, and we run a book event together. So Sam from Thoughts on Tomes is one of the people who introduced me, even though I was on BookTube, to the SFF community, and just knowing that there were like a group of people here who all talk about these books. So I love her channel. I love her as a person. And then also Connor, who is one of my friends. Connor O'Brien is his channel name. He reads a lot of science fiction and fantasy and a lot of like middle grade YA and adult books. So he's got just a great spread across all the categories. So
yeah, I want to shout out Adri at Perpetual Pages, and I try to roll the R because they said they like it when people do that, and I think I messed up. But
you're close.
They do. Thank you. They do amazing critical reviews. Like their point of view is always so great, and they do these videos that are like 5 reasons to read this particular books, and they always like their passion for the book is always so good. And recently I watched their 5 reasons to read The Deep, which was slightly older videos of theirs, and then I read the book and I was like, I'm getting so much more out of this book because I watched their video. And also they shared like a bunch of other videos about this book that was great. So A+. I know somebody in chat, I think Ray in chat mentioned earlier that humor does really well on BookTube. And a bigger channel that I love that is very, very funny is Read with Cindy. She's very dry.
Yes.
And I'm British now. So, you know, it just works so well. And also Chanel over at Chanel Time is also hilarious. So in terms of really funny people, you should go watch them. So many. We'll have more links in the chat.
I was looking it up because I could not for the life of me remember her last name. But Injiri Campbell. She does all about Afrofuturism. Like she's very specific in her reading and reviewing, but she is just one of the smartest people I've ever had the privilege of meeting, and all of her reviews are thoughtful and wonderful. So check out Injiri's channel as well.
It's Onyx Pages.
Onyx Pages. Thank you. I was like, oh my God, I could not. Thank you.
Yeah. Also, I think for humor, I think Irish Reader. So Kevin from Irish Reader, he's really hysterical. So.
There's a channel that I found like really recently that does more like video essays, but it's about books. Is Melina Pendulum. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but she's like, her content is also very smart, and I'm like waiting to binge. Like I'm on a holiday now, so I'm going to binge her videos. That's part of the plan, and it's very exciting. She did a video about like why you don't need to watch or read Gone with the Wind. Like, who cares? It's a classic. You know, and it's so good. Let's see. Matthew wants to know what's your own favorite video, which is always a really hard question.
Oh, I actually know mine. My favorite video was the interview I did with Nina Moreno, who is the author of Don't Date Rosa Santos, which I did at Mari's event. Oh, you're this way. Last year? It was last year?
I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
Oh, at Booknet Fest?
Yeah, at Booknet Fest. But yeah, I just got to sit down and chat with her for a while, and it was wonderful. I had so much fun, and we just got to talk about her amazing book. It's contemporary, so maybe not as many people in this crowd would be into it, but it's beautiful. Own voices, Cuban American representation, and yeah.
My favorite video that I ever made was a review of maybe any of my reviews on Sarah J. Maas's books. They're my most popular books, and they're also my most contested. So I like, if I get a new comment, it's like 50% of the time somebody mad at me because I hate those books. So it's just the videos that keep giving. But I don't know. I enjoy making them, and I enjoy being critical of things. So those are always fun.
Yeah. Mine is not strictly book-centered. It's my review of the new Little Women adaptation. And I was particularly critical of certain aspects of that adaptation and how they handled various elements of that book. And it is still my best performing video to date. So I was pretty proud of that one. And also my I think I reviewed Stalking Jack the Ripper, and that's another review that I'm quite proud of.
My favorite video that I've ever made is one that I made because I was mad. My local bookstore had this table that was like, introducing SFF, and it was like,
Tolkien.
it's like over
Anderson.
60% of the table was like, there were like 2 books that were from the last 10 years. It was all white. There was like 2 women, and it was like Margaret Atwood and Ursula Le Guin. Like, it was the classic, like the classic thing that people do when they talk about SFF. So I took a photo, and then I started writing a thing, and it's the most like in-depth video I've ever written, with like actual, you know, like reason stuff. And then I had people edit it, you know, the text of it, to make sure that I was saying what I wanted to say. And it's called How Not to Make SFF Lists, and I really, really like it. Let's see.
While you're picking out a question, I just want to interject that I also very much love Marinés's rants reviews on the Sarah J. Maas series, because that's how I found Booktube. The first thing I found was an ACOTAR rant, because no one on Tumblr hated it the way I did. So I was like, where else do I go? And then I found Marinés, and I was like, thank you.
Do you know what? Somebody else is agreeing. Marinés, you keep me sane. I'm usually like, am I the only one who sees this?
I swear, I love books, and I post positive reviews, but those are just like, they stay at the top as my most like popular, so I'm constantly like re-engaging with them, and then I look back, I'm like, that's great, that was a fun video, go me.
I mean, I think it's funny because like people complain a lot about critical videos and mean content and stuff, and it's like, you're watching it, guys, like it performs, it does good, like those videos outperform everything else consistently. So, you know,
yeah, and if you don't want to hear it, then go find another video that validates your opinion.
Right,
for sure.
As I always say, I'm not watching my own videos. I'm not making my popular content my popular content. So, like,
yeah, no, Mari, your Sarah J. Maas videos also very much validated my opinions on those books as well, because I finished the ACOTAR series with a very bad taste in my mouth. So I think your reviews definitely gave me life.
Thanks, guys.
Right. Well, we have a Noria again, but she's muted, so I think it's just what we're gonna do is we're going to get the CoNZealand Fringe. We're gonna get in touch with her and organize something cool with her so that you get to see how cool she is. But I think we are wrapping up now because we're coming up on an hour. So if anybody has anything that they want to say as final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, if this was your introduction to BookTube, I hope that, you know, you continue to check out the community. As I said, there really is something for everybody. And even though it isn't the most intuitive thing in terms of like YouTube, if you dig a little bit, there's just so many treasures to be found in this community of people who love books. And so I hope that you know, check it out, check out the channels that we referenced, and come talk to us, because obviously we're here because we want to talk to people about books. So, like, come talk to us, please.
I hope people get more into BookTube and also dig into the more diverse voices on the platform. Of course, I think someone looking at just the big BookTubers doesn't get the whole picture of the community. So definitely check out the even the smaller ones, the middling ones. Definitely, there's a lot of different perspectives here.
Waldening points out a really good thing. The best way to find a booktuber is to search a book title you love and see if someone reviewed it, or in fact a book title you hated. And we'll have links in the description. I think we had I mean, obviously we had some tech things, so we didn't cover as much as we wanted, but we were going to talk about how to start your own channel if you wanted to. So what I'll do is I'll find some videos that people have made who have BookTube channels saying how you start, and I'll put that all in the description box below. We'll do also we'll have a link to a playlist of Black booktubers if you'd like to go and like look more widely. Sorry, Jocelyn, I saw that comment and I cut off. If you had any wrap-up thoughts.
No. I said
it. Oh dear. Okay, so yeah, I think this is our panel. Thank you so much, everybody. There are also, in fact, non-English speaking booktubers as well. I'm not well versed in them, but we will try and leave some info down there if we can find like some videos recommending some. And thank you so much for attending, everybody. Thank you for bearing with us and our various tech issues and also mistakes that I made. And I will also put a link in the description to the panel, The Art of the Review at CoNZealand, which I am going to be on during the actual convention. So if you are a CoNZealand member, please come and watch that. Again, we are not part of CoNZealand. We are a separate event, but we do love WorldCon. We just wanted to provide more content. So if you would like to check out WorldCon, there'll be links and everything down below. And please check out some of their content and some of ours as well. Thank you so much, folks, and goodbye.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.